Good evening, folks. Red County Blue Nation, West Cliff, Colorado, the great states, United States of Americans. Stephen Rorick, Mike Boring, James McMahon. Jimmy, how you doing this evening, buddy?
We're doing good. We got our good day of work in and had another really good day. We got a little bit of moisture here and there in the valley. Grass is greening up and getting most of the garden in. About to kill me. But yeah. No, things are going well. So, and
Good.
yourself, you doing?
I'm going to pass on the garden this year. I don't really have enough water to do it like what I want to do, and I still have a bunch of stuff from last year. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I grew enough for 15, 20 people. And
Oh, buddy boy.
I'm just one person, so
Yeah, them big old Hubbard squash were remarkable. What a difference a year makes, too, between water and things heating up, and the growing seasons fluctuate so much at this elevation.
yeah. I mean, it's well, the creek is running a little bit. It's just barely getting to the head gate, and
Just got no snowpack.
now there's no snowpack. It's drought time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're relying on irrigating water, you're going to get smoked. Some of the rights are running some, of course, Colony and Taylor, and some out of Grape Creek or whatever. But
For the most part.
no, it ought to run for a couple, 2-3 weeks, and then right when you really need it, like third week in June, it's going to quit, be done, and fucking burn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nothing easy about it in a high mountain desert.
But right now everything looks good, and it needed it. I mean, the grass out there at the ranch on the lawn right there, a lot of that's blow sand where it comes right off the driveway, so it's pretty sandy right there. You know, blow dirt, whatever. It was turning brown underneath. But we got, I don't know, 1.5 inches of hail, big ass hail. Hell, this son of a bitch is as big as quarters. Luckily they were soft.
It was kind of mushy. I was out in the wets, out by Mission Wolf. And man, did it come down. And it came down, this was yesterday. It came down in two big times. There was about a 15-minute, and then it let up a little bit, and then it come back in again, and which was really good, but it was that soft.
Yeah, we didn't.
It was mushy stuff. You know, it didn't damage nothing.
We didn't get nothing yesterday, but the day before. But yeah, beggars can't be choosers. So.
No, we just take what God gives us and hope for the best.
I know. I'm glad I didn't have a bunch of little tender young plants out there, because it would have probably knocked them down pretty good.
So I got a bunch. Going on out there, but didn't hurt anything. So dodged a bullet.
Good.
Got the peas and the carrots, the beets, the onions. Quite a few things coming up pretty good. So
Good.
but yeah, a lot more to plant. Got to get lot more. Doing a lot of peas this year, and then got a couple 100 feet of potatoes in, but Tim and Megan went and got the potato seed yesterday from San Luis Valley, the certified stuff. So I think they picked up 1,000 pounds.
He hit me up, said he needs a bunch of plastic. I said, I'm your huckleberry.
Oh yeah, no, good deal.
Yeah, so he's wanting to get that right away.
Yeah, he's trying to get that stuff. He's really busy doing that solar stuff too, and then the kids is out of school and whatnot. But yeah, they grow a lot of produce. They do pretty good. But yeah, yep. Anyways, that's kind of where, and a lot of work going on. Man, goodness gracious, this a lot of work. Just not a lot of people able to do it, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there's more stuff to do than there ever has been, and less people to do it.
I was listening to Mike Rowe, and he said five people will retire and 2 will come in. 5 out, 2 in. We're depleting the workforce pretty fast.
Well, and then you wonder why people want to go to AI and robots.
Well, good luck on that. That's all I know.
All I know is I've been a proponent of that for 40 years.
Yeah,
Hell,
no, it's all good.
Give me a couple good machines is way better than 10 numbnuts.
Oh, without a doubt.
So I mean, I'm not a real big fan of people, right? I'd rather do machinery any day of the week.
Right.
But
No, and I think most of us that's had to deal with people most of our life, and especially as the culture has changed with the phone and work ethic and things of that nature, it's just people ask me all the time, how come you don't have people helping you? It's like not doing it.
yeah, because my nerves can't handle it. Now, the only way I ever got by was, and I've said that before, is because a lot of my older friends, retired guys that I trusted and that were, could do what I needed to do. But they was old and retired, right? They were not young kids.
No. They were old school.
And I mean, it was kind of always a challenge because I didn't have full time. I didn't have a full time need. I just needed them part of the time.
Seasonal.
Yeah. Well, and like daily season. Well,
Yeah, when it hits, you got to need them. You need them.
They show up and then it starts raining and then you send them all home and then the sun comes out and it's like,
Hey, where are you?
son of a gun. Let me see if I can do this all by myself.
Yeah, let me get something done.
Yeah,
No, it's always a guessing game. It's and making profit. That's one of the things I think is kind of we need to get more of that profit mentality installed in the schools. A lot of them school teachers have never had to make profit. They have no idea other than unless their pappy or their mammy showed them something.
Well, yeah, and not just the teachers itself, but the curriculum. There's no curriculum there to
explain it.
To be a good, I'm going to call it a good capitalist, right? Someone that understands how to take a certain amount of resources and multiply that. You take $100 and turn it into 1,000.
Seed time, harvest, and that applies across the board to everything. Seed money, and then what are you going to harvest out of that? And that applies to everything across the board.
Yeah,
input costs.
All they want to teach you is that get your credit card.
Yeah, and there's no waiting. There's no patience. There's no hard work and wise planning and keeping abreast of the facts. That's the culture that we've cultivated. And that's a tough deal to have to try to get out of. But I think the country's going to turn around. That's my hope.
But I mean, there's certain things, just like what you said, if there's 5 people retiring and 2 coming on, you ain't going to get out of that.
Pretty hard to get out of that.
You ain't going to get
But if you take $4 billion out of the college and throw it into the blue collar deal, you might get somewhere, I guess. I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
We already know that once you get to college, you're about as worthless as tits on a boar hog. I mean, there's some people that are educated that, do good, but boy.
It still comes down to the application of knowledge, and that's the problem that we have is you could be smart, but if you can't apply it in a common sense fashion, you're kind of just worthless. I mean, there's a lot of good people up here, a lot of good young kids up here too, young adults. You know what I mean? There are some really good. And it's throughout the country, but all in all, you get into them cities and we've got too much pavement and it's too fast, too sterile, and it just really sets the stage for whoopsie daisy. It's just becomes a concrete jungle instead of getting out in the dirt. Most everybody I know that's been in the dirt's down to earth and got a pretty good head on their shoulders and a good heart. And a lot of the folks on the pavement, though, are pretty sterile and pretty arrogant and pretty asinine. They don't have a clue. They're clueless. Absolutely, completely clueless. Now they do good, I guess, in that setting. But that setting's pretty false.
They are what they've been taught.
They are what they've been taught. Product of your environment.
So yeah, I mean that's always a tough. I mean, what is the solution for that? And then it's like,
Well, to me, I think you got to go backwards to go forwards at this point in time.
Richard Grove has a pretty good take on it, in my opinion, of what his solution would be, and that's it. It's one mind at a time.
Absolutely.
You're only gonna, you can't go into the school and expect everybody to all of a sudden be grade A.
You're right, but if the curriculums get,
It's still, even with, people just ain't, it has to happen one mind at a time, right? They have to do it for themselves. An old friend of mine, he always said, what did he say? Follow your mind. Follow your mind and your ass will follow, or something.
free your mind and the rest will follow.
So, I mean, that's,
Maybe I don't know. That's what he said.
I
I'm
mean,
just saying that's kind of the same thing you were kind of saying.
yeah, it is, right? I mean, we all are what we are because that's what our thought process is. And so, I mean, if you're an accelerator and a hard worker and all of that, that's because you want to be, not because you just.
Well, attitude, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you are what you know.
Your outlook, and how you view stuff. So, absolutely. So we were going to talk about a little bit of kind of how maybe would you call it the sovereignty of a citizen?
It is the sovereignty of a citizen, and it's really complicated, folks. And so, I mean, I just didn't have the time this week to really. I mean, I've listened to it quite a bit. I understand it, but being able to recite it is a different story. But it boils back down to how your birth certificate, your straw man, you're a minor until you have your own durable power of attorney to take that back. So basically, and dead, right? I mean, so they basically consider you dead already through your birth certificate and all of this legal sovereign. I mean,
the way it's been constructed as a corporation.
Yeah, so the United States of America is a corporation.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just pawns on it.
We're just pawns on it. But if you know what to do, then you can file the right paperwork and then
release yourself from that, become a sovereign citizen again, and get your rights back. But right now, under the contract, and this is me, I just got a very on top.
Well, and that's me too.
Just a small depth of it.
I've listened to it quite a bit. I'm in a weekly group that talks about it every week. I've actually missed a couple weeks because I've been too busy. This is the time of year for me when the sun is up. Everybody's like, yeah, it's a 5:30 meeting, and I'm like, 5:30?
Dude,
man,
we got another 4.5 hours to go.
At least another 3 hours of sunlight.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it don't get dark till 9:30,
yeah, we ain't.
It's a pretty long day.
Yeah.
June 21st is coming.
Yeah, so it's basically 3 weeks till the longest day of the year.
Well, and then she starts getting shorter.
Doesn't seem like it does, but
I'm telling you, every little bit.
But yeah, folks. So I mean, we'll put the links into the website so that you can look at it.
Situational awareness.
And it is, and I mean, most people don't know anything about this stuff. So like Fidelity, when you take your birth certificate and go on Fidelity and type all this stuff in, if you do it right, you'll find out that you have a bunch of money that's stacked up in your name. And nobody knows that, right? I mean, there is no, money is not a legal tender by the mathematics that they play by, right? I mean, they just happen to.
Well, they mortgage your birth certificate. That's kind of where I'm looking at it. Anyways, there's a lot of good information out there.
It's actually so complicated that, I mean, we really didn't do it justice by, we'll have to shore it up a little bit and bone up a little bit because, I mean, like I said, I've been studying this stuff for at least about a year, but to try to recite it is a little bit. I'm just not prepared. I don't have any notes. I mean, I got a lot of other stuff that's going on this time of year.
Oh, buddy boy, man, I'm telling you.
I mean, if
talk
I had,
about being buried.
Yeah, if I had irrigating water, I wouldn't. I mean, we'd still do the podcast, but it'd just be.
Yeah, consumed.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of moaning and groaning. And
I think Matt might have opened up the Napoleon today. I'm hoping he did. Just let it rip, because I think we're right at that point, right at the cusp of it coming down. But boy, it's a big deal. When you get water, you got to use it. You can't sit there and, I'll get that tomorrow. No, you won't.
Well, it depends on where you're at and what water rights you got. There's a few of these guys that can afford to let it go by. But
Yeah.
most
But
of us
that's
can't.
95% of us can't. We better grab what we can and hope for the best.
A lot of people don't understand that. Well, I'm not ready. Well, that's when you're ready, there won't be none.
So we already had the ditch set up, ready to go. As soon as that thing qualified to open, boy, it needs to get open. And even if it's raining, matter of fact, that's the best time. You get compound, get that water buried in there.
It'll go farther.
Yeah, get it buried.
Well, instead of just going down, it'll actually travel.
Correct, travel. Absolutely.
Try to get the top 6, because 6 inches is all.
Really, that ever, yeah.
That's where the
That's where the roots are.
Yeah.
It's a root zone.
So yeah, I mean the whole fact that they don't want us to know.
The structure?
The whole money thing is very elusive. I mean, how they can take something out of thin air and then loan it to you and charge you interest and expect you to pay it back when they didn't have it to start with. That's
Oh no, that there again. That's that.
it's kind of a hard cookie to swallow.
Well, it really is. It's yeah.
And
It's
no,
like yeah.
no offense here. I'm not by any means coming in sideways, but you have people like my dad, and he's so shrewd, and he's got what he's got because he worked real hard, but he played by the rules that they play by, and so like he doesn't understand, and he don't want to really listen to me when I tell him that there's something fishy going on. He's just like, well, they got all the money, and no, and I'm just like, no, they don't. No, they don't. They got a hoax on you, pal, and you put it on me and expect me to toil my whole life and give the shit to the IRS and all this.
And all the other thieves.
And then you wonder why we're on the lower scale of the pay grade. And it's like...
Because you financed the oppression.
We should be on the upper scale of the pay grade.
Because you were the ones that made the profit.
With our skill set.
Absolutely. You created the wealth. They took it. And that's where a lot of us are at in our point in reality in our consciousness. It's like, man, this is a devilish routine, and we're getting in the poopy end of the stick, and it needs to be stopped. I mean, look at all what Doge has discovered and all the abuses and how people don't have. We think that they're up there with a golden rule about them, and I don't mean. He who's got the gold makes the rule. Don't say that to me, because that's just I'm not biting on it. But it's kind of the way it is. But I'm not. The golden rule to me is you treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you're in a position where you're serving the people and you're receiving money from them, and that money comes at gunpoint. If you don't pay your taxes, you lose stuff. They come in and take stuff. So they're taking money from you forcefully. And for people to be employed in the instrumental, being instrumental and reapplying that money back, when they're sitting there abusing us in billions of dollars, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee and say, wait a minute. We need to get that. We need to get it shut down. And basically, it's a modern day Boston Tea Party. But we all got to get together. You don't have to. It's your conscience. It's your convictions. I've had a conviction of this several times. Me and the IRS come round and round several times. And if you don't stand up, they will run roughshod over you. But if you if you basically stand up and say, now wait a minute, this is a little bit out of hand here.
Well, and that's part of the back to the whole sovereign. I mean, the IRS is not a government. Same way with the Federal Reserve, right? None of that is government sanctioned, right? Them are private entities that.
Yeah, that have the ability to abuse us.
Yeah, that the rest of us, the rest of most of the general public, especially the older generation, think that that's the way that it is. Well, hell, you got to pay your taxes. Da, 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 da.
Social conditioning.
Social conditioning. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you talk to my dad, right, he'd tell you had a great life and he's happy and he wouldn't change nothing. And I agree with him, right? All that's fine and dandy, but nonetheless, he's still deceived by their deception.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I remember my uncles, and I'm very blessed. I'm not going to say I grew up hard, and my uncles were pretty tough on me. But they said, you'll see this day, you're going to know what we're talking about. And that's why building houses and construction, running cows, raising hogs, butchering stuff, milking, making cheese and butter, those things, nobody else was doing that stuff, but we were. And they said, you're going to know what's going on. And I thought it was pretty brutal, but I'm so appreciative of it now.
Yeah, me too. I mean, even as brutal as some of the stuff I had to go through, I mean, who else you know is running the automatic bale wagons at 10 years old?
Absolutely.
Most 10-year-olds can't even do anything.
Right.
If it's not a video game, right?
You know, and I think if they were given the opportunity and exposed to it, there would be a very small percentage that could do that. The problem is they're all these young men.
It would be simple for them to do. They just need to learn it at a young age and not.
Absolutely.
I used to be so irritated at my sister because she was a girl and she didn't have to do the stuff. She'd sit at home and, I mean, she helped some once she got a little older, but like when we was young, 8, 10, 12, she was 2 years younger than me. I mean, she'd be at home playing Tea Party and all that shit, and I'm out doing the work of a grown man. It used to irritate me pretty good because I'm like, how's this fair?
Yeah, I had a lot of girl cousins and 5 sisters, and I never thought about it like that. I always thought if you don't do it, you're going to get your ass beat.
Hell, I'm out here and I want to ride my bike with my friends.
Oh yeah.
There was none of that.
No,
you ain't going to town to ride your bike.
Oh no.
Never once.
No. That didn't even cross my mind. I mean, there was no sports. There was nothing. You start up in the morning and you do your chores, whether it's milking cows or feeding, watering. And then when you get home, you get your homework done. And then you do your chores. Period. There was No, there was no fun time. I mean, we got to play Smear the Queer sometimes because we'd get some of these honeydew melons and stuff like that delivered for the cows and the hogs and whatnot. And we'd put a sprinkler out there and there'd be all these honeybees, but you'd be able to grab a honeydew and take off running.
Everybody's trying to tackle you.
Yeah.
Probably most people don't know what Smear the Queer is.
Yeah, but anyways, that was
Well, probably a lot of our audience might know what it is, but the younger generation, that's politically incorrect.
Yeah, and I don't even, here again, I got involved in that politically incorrect stuff, and to this day, I don't really, I define it myself, and I'm not going to bite on it. You can be politically correct all you want and have your speech chilled and make sure you don't hurt somebody's feelings. Stephen, I hear you loud and clear, brother. No, I do. I really do. I was born with Archie Bunker. I was born where we made fun of each other's difference. We did not have there was no, and I'm not biting on it. That stuff that Obama reborn in this nation, and with the narrative of, well, we were prejudiced. You know, there could be some folks out there that might be a little bit, but for the most part, where I growed up, and we laughed at our differences. We laughed at each other. Life wasn't so dang serious. I think love, the spirit of love, kind of just denounced all of that, and we just got along and we laughed hard, and we didn't have any of that condemnation and all that crap. It just didn't exist. This stuff got reinvented lately.
Well, they call it neo-communism. That's
Absolutely.
1989 is what, when they said that all changed from finance and class to racism.
And that's pretty spot on. I mean, I was born in '62 and grew up in the '70s and '80s. And I tell you, I don't think there was there might have been one or two people during that whole time in my life that was a little backwards. You know what I mean? And it's probably because their parents, instilled a negative mental attitude in them about, oh, that's a, different color, they're different, and then the kid bit on it. The majority of it is nature, because naturally we're compassionate, we love each other, and until we're contaminated with somebody's crap, we don't think in terms like that as young'uns. We just don't.
No, and I mean, if they didn't tell you about it, they probably wouldn't think about it today.
That's exact. So with all the media and in the tools that these predators have, and Obama was the best of all of them, because he was eloquent speaker. He really, to me, damaged this country severely, and I'm hoping he gets somewhere along the line. There's some consequences somewhere with this Biden regime that's now being exposed for all their nonsense. Hopefully they can reach back and are able to hold these people for the damage that they've done. And in the news media is probably the first and foremost, the biggest tool that was used to propagate.
Without a doubt. I mean, you look at the propaganda back in the Germans.
Well, that was the tool they used.
They would be flying with them airplanes, dumping all the stuff out the window, all these flyers all over the country, and using the films, early films, and
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't let them play anything that wasn't.
Well, the newspapers and the radio. No, that's where it is. It's the seed, word.
Without a doubt, media is the tool that they use first and foremost.
Yeah. So now that we know about it, we're going to raise up a standard, and the malfeasance that these people have used, having that responsibility of telling the truth and not being involved in undermining the country. You know what I mean? Them folks need to be pulled up. They need to be shown as an example. And if there ever was a place for the death penalty, that would be it. Because it's a massive amount of killing.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but in my opinion, I mean, don't get me wrong, Trump is the best option we have at this point, but shit ain't going down like it needs to.
No.
Who's gotten convicted? Who's went to jail?
Pretty irritating.
Nobody. AOC is still running her fat trap mouth just as big can be, and helped all them people ice all that stuff.
So that one gal that was in the holding facility where they had a bunch of those immigrants, I believe she was a Congress lady. So she's getting her ass handed to her. So that's something. But when you start looking at the Biden regime and what Comer has been doing, and
the whole thing here,
It's pretty weak.
Yeah, and the whole thing just, and we'll bring this up with the Epstein file, right? The fact that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Bongino and all these high-powered individuals, I mean, it's been a few months, but they're like, no, we can't get all that stuff because it's in a Democratic stronghold in New York. And what? Take the damn gunship down there and go smoke their ass. But so to me it's all nothing. I mean, I'm
It's not something you want to focus on too much. I mean, I pray about it and I hope for the best. And justice has to resurface.
At this point, I mean,
and without consequences, there's no justice.
We are not saved at this point.
Not even close.
It's just more deception. And I mean, Trump's doing some things that look pretty good, but at the end of the day, I mean, if we can't get the judges to, I mean, he got all these liberal judges that are.
No, you're right, Stephen. You're exposing the big situation here.
I mean,
what are we battling against? Principalities in high places. I mean, there's some things going on here, and people it's in their heart. They're packing that kingdom around no, it's okay.
They are what they are.
They are what they are. And when you come down to it, it's pretty grievous. But patience is a big part of love, and you've got to be patient because it does get irritating.
And that's the fine line too between patience is definitely a virtue, but on the other hand, it's also a curse because a lot of times you're waiting for something to happen, and it won't happen because you're not making it happen.
You're not making it happen.
And that's...
Damn Skippy.
I mean, there's a fine line there between being patient and letting things unfold and letting it...
You don't want to pick something before it's ripe.
Yeah,
but when it's ripe, let's go ahead and get her picked and get her processed. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to pick it when it's green. Go ahead and let it get it ripe where it's supposed to. And there's that sweet spot. And they're going to give his lip service... pretty sure for a while.
Oh wait.
I mean, that's been pretty damn good.
That's all we've been getting's lip service. There's not one of these high-powered criminals gotten convicted. Not that I know of.
Not that I know of.
So I mean, it ain't nothing but lip service. Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Kash Patel. I mean,
Danny Bongino.
I've listened to Kash Patel for a long time, and I know that he knows his business about a lot of, what does he call it? What's the name of his book? Something Mafia. Government Mafia, or I can't remember what the hell the name of it is.
It's something like that.
Gangster Mafia, or, I can't remember.
So he knows
government gangsters or something.
He knows the situation intimately, and there's a lot of them that do. But they still have to follow the legal process. And you're right. I'm not saying you're not right, Stephen.
But so what? Here's my other thing too. Is so you got all these people getting swatted. All the people from InfoWars getting swatted. You got Roger Stone. You got Alex Jones. All these guys are getting swatted
as exposers.
That the FBI is coming and raiding their house. Still, but yet the FBI ain't raiding Hillary Clinton. They ain't on Nancy Pelosi. They ain't on Chucky Schumer.
So the balance of power hasn't switched yet.
Well, and that's
there's a point.
I really that's where I'm questioning that the balance of power never will switch. If you can't switch it, when's it going to switch? When it gets good and ready? I don't believe in that kind of shit because I know better.
It does take time.
It's lip service. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Regime change. We never did it.
Right. So yeah, no, I can definitely I share that. I share that viewpoint. I guess, but my hope,
I hope as well.
Right.
But back to reality. Back to reality. They still don't have released the Epstein files. Is what? Because was President Trump in there? We know
that's what I'm saying.
We know Bill Gates and all the rest. So like, when does justice come to
town? When does it come to town?
Instead of lip service.
Well, and here again, they're all covering for each other.
And that's what I'm saying.
So they're compromised.
So we basically have gained nothing.
Very little.
Very little.
Very little. We gained a little hope, and it's false hope. It's probably false hope more than anything.
I mean, what's good for me is at least that I can try to get my life into a better position before something bad happens with the regime again. That's the only.
No. I think everybody's got that on their right on the forefront of their mind. It's like, how do we get our feet under us real strong before things go south again? So, yeah, that's a big deal. No, absolutely. Absolutely. We do have a season of trying to get your feet underneath you a little stronger and a little better, and then work locally and also
It's not trying to be negative either. It's just being realistic.
very real.
Why? Just like what's going on at the county. Like, we trying to be realistic, but now to the point where now they're talking about, well, now we got to figure out another now we got to get another accounting software because your boy Bernie can't take care of the shit.
It's all been in my head for 7 years.
I ripped their ass last week.
Well, and they need it, and I think
But I doubt any of them's listening.
I do too. I think they're almost like they're turtled up on us. They're in their shell and they're hoping that we just go away, and then they'll peek their head out and try to get something done.
Take a fucking
They don't know we're picking to throw them in the pot and cook them.
4-pound sledgehammer and whap that
whack it.
son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're unshelled. Now that's transparency. They're feeling the heat a little bit. There was some goofy stuff that went on today. I spent a little bit of time in that meeting because I just don't have the time. And that's why we as a community need to be able to hold them accountable. It's one or two people there's not going to do anything.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit too, folks. That's why we try to bring this stuff to the light, is because, I mean, I would say you're one of the, if not the most informed person over the long haul of all of the stuff that's going on. So everybody, it's easy for somebody to get involved for a couple weeks or a month or something, and then once that issue is resolved, then it's swept under the carpet, and then everything's fine.
And then everybody just goes back to doing what they do.
Yeah, but to be able to keep track of the timeline of what all of this stuff is, and so we've been working on that some. We got ChatGPT to help us.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And so we can work on that again.
Yeah, that was a big deal on timelines.
Yeah, because I mean it's
names and how chat looks at it too. That was huge.
Yeah, because I mean it can look through all the records and put that together where it would take someone literally years. Yeah,
years.
I mean, you can do it, but I mean, you definitely have to be.
Oh my
funded.
goodness!
And for us to try to, right? I mean, that's the same thing, folks. What we've been saying forever. Like, why is it a plumber and a rancher, or why are we the ones that are up here feeding you this information? Well, we just happen to be the ones that can understand it and have a mind to kind of hold it together and paint the picture to try to explain to you what the hell's going on here.
Try to convey it and try to encourage folks to say, look, this isn't really, it's not, you don't have to be an Einstein. You got to understand that these people in the county are our public servants. And for them to they take money from us at gunpoint, and then to use it ill willfully or waste it is what can't be permitted. And that's all this comes down to.
And so let's talk about this. We've said it like
sidewalk.
I don't know how many times we've said it, but we're going to say it again. Maybe one of these days it's going to sink in. This is the division of how people are divided, is the way that money's spent. Some people think that you should be conservative. Some people think that money is just made to be spent and we can get some more because we're going to tax you some more. And that's the Democratic way. We're going to get more. It doesn't matter how much we spent. What matters is we're going to get more from you.
Absolutely. But to cherish that money and to say, wait a minute,
They have
this
no-
come from profit. This come from the sweat of the brow and the tenacity of the county and the people that are here. And then we get a lot of this federal money and it's coming from other people around the nation, maybe even the world, that created something and they took a chunk of the profit out.
Well, and for instance, back to, I mean, we've talked about this before, and I mean, it's so stupid that you almost can't even.
Oh,
But the wood chipper.
Jiminy Christmas.
So a bunch of liberals say, "Oh my God, this wood chipper is so expensive to rent. My God, I can't afford." It's like there's people that do that for a living in this valley. Fire mitigation, right? You pay them, they come take care of it for you. No, so what's the liberals do? They bitch and whine and moan to the county, and so the county ends up buying a wood chipper.
Which is completely asinine. And is it for those few votes?
And
Is it for those votes? Is it for political gain?
Is it just for them few people?
And it's
That's
appeasing.
that's my tax money, and I don't have a tree. I mean, I got a couple cottonwoods, but I don't have trees on my place. So that's kind of like the airport. I'm still expected to pay, but yet I will never benefit any from that wood chipper.
Well, unless we get a plane. But no, absolutely. And I was being sarcastic.
Shit, if I get a plane, I'm going to be like Scott Geary. I'll get my own airstrip.
I'll make my own.
Kiss
Absolutely.
my rebel ass.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to make somebody else pay for your luxury.
But and that's the whole, like, I mean, it's just so.
CIA.
For me, right? I mean, it's just so bizarre. Right?
It is.
Why would they buy? And especially because they already got one.
Yeah.
There's already a wood chipper over here at the county shop. But no, we got to spend $100,000 on a chipper and another $12,000 on a trailer, and now, and then what? So that you can put the pressure on private industry that does that for a living. So you're going to take Casey Christensen's tax dollars and leverage that against him. I mean,
Well, I don't know why they just don't get into the cattle business too.
they probably would if you'd talk to him.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to talk to them. Look here now, boys. Let's spend some of that taxpayer money and let's get up in here now.
Well, and that's the whole thing. The government's not supposed to be.
Maybe they'll be in the house building
The
too.
government's not supposed to be in the deal for profit.
Well, let's get a little bit of this low-income housing coming up in here too now. That example is so transforming where we're getting into socialism and a republic. That stuff's got to stop.
Well, and that's
and
what
for
it is.
these Republican commissioners to have surrendered their oath, they voided their oath. You're treasonous at this point. You've been given over. You gave yourself over. And then when you allow employees to hold you hostage, oh, it's been in my head for 7 years. I can't let it out anywhere
No,
because somebody
so
come
now-
up in here.
Well, so now the IT department is not. I mean, I talked about this last week. The IT department, they can't figure the shit out. So the guy that was the IT department, now they're going to pay the IT department $150,000. Is what they're thinking about. It's going to cost. Why didn't they just pay an accountant $150,000 and be done with the shit?
Who do you think you're fooling? Here you go. Because that's just down to earth, common sense, and the constituents were begging them, saying, look, the hub, the center of our county is the finance department, and you've got nobody in there that's ever been qualified, and the women that were in there, that could do it,
We're doing it.
and we're doing it. When the Tom Flower Power Hour was in there, the wrecking ball, and the stage was set for the exploitation through the CIC software, and then Braden Wilson from Hunger Buster comes in to run HR and the finance.
And has
With Vern, wait a
doesn't
minute.
doesn't have a degree of any kind.
None. And then you got Vern in there, Cranium. What was his other name?
Artificial
biker Cranium. So now we call him Crossbones. But that's the derelict and that's the malfeasance, is when you hire somebody that's so incompetent, and then you keep them on and you befriend them and you cabal up. And then they probably have some dirt on you.
And then the papers are saying, "Oh my God, he works so hard. Oh, geez, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread."
And that reminds me of that chainsaw story. This old boy goes in there, well, I need a chainsaw, cut 3/4 wood a day. So he goes up in there, he goes, well, here you go. This is one. He goes back to the house, and man, I only got about a, 1/4 of a cord. And the saw guy said, well, take this and get you done. And the old boy goes back, yeah, boy, this, you make a little more headway, but no. And the guy comes back, he says, bring that saw with you. Let me see what's going on here. And he fires it up. And the old boy goes, what the hell's that noise? You know what I mean? What the hell's that noise? Well, yeah, there you go. That's what we got going on over here in the clown show. And that's where it comes down to. What the hell's that noise? Yeah, because you don't know accounting. You don't know double entry bookkeeping. You don't even know the language. You don't know the IT. You're a stupid IT person on top of it.
And at the heart
and you hold us hostage, Vern. You should have had integrity enough to quit.
And at the bottom, at the end of the day, you don't have the mental capacity to understand that you should be fiduciarily responsible.
Yep, that's nail on the head right there.
You just think, oh hell, there'll be more tomorrow. There's more tax money. Hell,
I've got this all in my head. They can't get rid of me. Not only that, but I know what Bill did, and I know what Tom did, and I know what everybody else done. I got the dirt on them. I'm gonna hold them hostage, just like the attorney. That attorney should have been so gone so fast it would have made your head spin.
Yeah.
And then they try to get rid of old Dorothy, and she's no princess. She ain't very clean either. The ethics has got to be installed, and that's what I told the commissioners today. You guys have got to get everybody on the ethics page. If you don't tell them ethically what they have to do with public tax money, you're held to a higher standard of behavior. Oh, my husband installed septic.
That's where I'm back to. If you got to tell them what
you got to
do,
tell them, boy, there's a problem.
It's just it's that same old adage about a man and a woman. If you got to tell the woman what you need her to do, she is never going to do it.
Nope.
If she can't already,
it doesn't naturally come.
Yeah, if she ain't already doing it, she ain't gonna do it.
She ain't gonna do it.
And same for the man, right?
Same for the man.
Whether it's leaving the toilet seat up or whatever. You are not gonna tell somebody what they need to do.
If it's not naturally, nurturally installed in you,
if they ain't already doing it,
you ain't got it. If you ain't got it, you ain't gonna get it. It would take a monumental being born again into the significance of what your duty is and what's required of you. But for them to say, oh, we don't want the... And Bill Kanda, as well as Dorothy, both of them install septic systems. And they're there in the Board of Health going, yeah, we don't want the public to be able to install their septic.
So that's the main thing.
My God, conflict of interest, idiot.
That's one of the biggest things, folks. That's one of the biggest malfeasance of the whole 9 yards, is that it's a conflict of interest. So both Bill and Dorothy have
skin in the game,
direct interest in
absolutely
septics, and so what are they doing? They're voting on other people can't do it.
Yeah, they're trying to restrict that an individual can't install their own, and that would ante up them. That would say, oh, and then
so that's the law says that's a direct conflict of interest right there. So it's like everybody's mad at Dorothy for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but it's
open carries.
Did anybody bring up that part, Bill? And so they're mad at Dorothy because she's got a gun on her hip?
I could have ripped and tore through that. I could have been a tornado in that meeting today, and I didn't. I'm trying to be a little bit tempered about not just ripping them apart. But I do say, when I stood up, I said, this is because I want this on the minutes. We might ought to look at not getting sued again. Because it sounded to me like they were coming at her in an emotional way. It almost sounded like they were being retaliatorial. Because, Dorothy, thank you for letting us know about, the sewage thing. You'd gotten the email you got a notification, from Denali saying this is what we're going to do. And nobody knew, but thank you, Dorothy. And that is a stand-up person.
That's back on you, Bill.
And Billy Bob, when I talk to you, Billy Bob,
Biden.
boy, she never should have let them out. And then, Jimmy, all you got to do is talk to Dave. It's all safe. So it's all good.
Here's another
and
thing.
I'm like, you narrow-eyed goof bastard.
So they hauled all the sludge out. I watched the floater. They had the thing out. They had trucks. I didn't watch real close, but I had some work out outside of town.
You were passing by.
I was passing by. I'd never seen 200 loads come out of there. I only ever seen 2 to 3 trucks at a time loading, and at like 4 or 5 days. I mean, that's going to be like...
You do three trucks a day. I mean, you do 2 trips a day per truck.
200 loads in 5 days is 40 loads in a day. From what I seen, they didn't haul no 40 loads a day out of there.
No, they could have done 4 if they were running 2 trucks. Now, if they were running 10 trucks, they could have hit that mark. Yeah, so it's simple math, and bullshitting us ain't going to be the answer here, boys.
They can only haul...
Because we're watching you.
Most they can ever get is like 3 loads a day, right? I mean,
that's pushing your books as a truck driver. That's pushing your book pretty hard.
So I don't know what happened there. I mean, all I know is that they did haul...
And then them cows come up dead down the road up here. Down there in Coaldale. Things that just make you go, what the hell's going on here? That was right when they were doing it. I'm not saying that's what happened. All I'm saying is I do 1 + 1 is 2 all day long. Well, that's all I do.
I know they wasn't taking it to Coaldale because there ain't no place to dump it in Coaldale.
Oh, I don't know.
I do.
Okay.
Look at Coaldale. Where the hell are you going to put that at? You're just going to dump it in the river. I mean, we already know that Denali has the contracts to spread it.
In Yoder?
Yeah, they got contracts all up and down the Front Range, right? That was their closest site. So okay. I don't have any doubt that that's what happened.
It just seems suspicious that many loads took place. Are they all documented?
I have no idea.
If somebody wanted to get the books on a CDL driver.
Oh, that's got to be documented.
Well,
but I mean, you can't trust what they said before, so I don't know.
Why would you trust them now?
And does it matter? It doesn't matter.
It's only principle that matters.
All that matters is the damn lagoon cleaned out so they can try their shit or
their
not.
Electronics.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Well, I mean, it's at least an attempt.
That was your end game. So if you don't have that, then you had nothing.
Yeah, and I think they got nothing. I think it's another bullshit story. Monetarily, we're serving money instead of principle, and therein lies the problem.
Well, and I mean, you can't jump on Round Mountain for that. If you want to jump on somebody, jump on the whole world for that.
Well, because
it's the whole world over.
Absolutely,
they're serving money and over principles. So I mean, you can't
you
can't come at Round Mountain over that.
That's just the root of the problem. That's the root of all of it.
Well, it is, and that's
the root.
So it's back to it's good versus evil, right? And
absolutely.
So at the end of the day, when the Merkaba vehicle happens, folks.
When the what?
Merkaba vehicle?
I never heard of it.
Haven't you?
No.
So enlightenment, right? Merkaba vehicle would be like so that you can transcend. It's transcend. But in a Merkaba vehicle, right, you would not just be your soul, basically like dying. But when you Merkaba vehicle, you transform this third dimensional cellular body into a garment of light. And so you basically, it's the children of light. So you're transcending.
Got it.
You're going to fly to the stars with the body that you have here. It's not just basically passing away and going through back. That's the Merkaba vehicle.
Got it. Sweet.
Yeah, so that's the goal, right?
That's a good hope.
I remember watching that on the cartoons. Pretty sure it was Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, right? And it had that. It was a pile driver, and the coyote would always get caught in that. But I can even remember even when I was a little kid, right? I'd tell myself, "Oh, if I was there, I'd just be gone. I'd just
Right.
go away. I'd transcend. I'd be gone." I've been thinking that ever since I was
Little bitty.
knee high to a grasshopper.
Well, there you go. Once you get that in your spirit, that's what it. I remember some of these kids, they were talking about the rapture, and they'd come home and the parents would be gone, and they'd walk in the house and they'd think, "Oh no, the rapture's already happened. Oh, I didn't get raptured. Everybody's gone." Yee-haw. Pretty apt to see your folks then. Oh, you guys are still here. I didn't miss it. So anyways, the seeds of ideas, and that's the narrative that gets served, and it's what's been used high and low, good and bad. And that's one of the things, I think that's the biggest situational awareness is having that discernment.
But I mean, you call it pretty good, or when it's kingdom on kingdom, it really is like, what are you made of? What are you? What are you? Like, what are your ways and means?
What makes you tick? What makes you be?
Are you wicked or are you holy?
There you go.
And that whole thing about repent, I'm just so glad that when you talk about judgment, I don't care about anybody else. I really don't.
You better not.
I do not care. All I'm glad is just that
Me.
I have my own little,
You got your
got
own.
my own little 2 cents worth.
There
right?
you go.
That's it.
And that's what everybody needs to do. Live your
And-
convictions.
And then it ain't like that, right? When somebody comes up to you and says, "I'm better than you,"
Oh boy. Good.
that right there lets you know
They're a little arrogant. They're pretty shallow. They're pretty stupid.
they're on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's back to what we were talking about. It's how money is spent. It's how energy is spent. It's how resources.
All of it.
That's what
Absolutely.
it really boils down
It's
to.
all very relative.
Yeah, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all relative.
They're not just related. It is the same DNA thing. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, I mean, being a sovereign citizen and then looking up where you said somewhere people could look that up to find out a little bit more about how your birth certificate's been sold
so
and how you've been mortgaged.
I'll send that over, and Mike will get it posted so you guys can check that out. It's,
Fidelity
no, well, that's Fidelity is the huge. That's
is
like
the holders.
J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs. Fidelity is Fidelity.
Gotcha. I did remember you saying that word.
Well, here, let me look. I can look at it real quick.
But yeah, folks, if you would share and like and whatever you else can do, just kind of get us going out there a little bit further would be handy. Going to be a lot of different things come up here in the future, and we
So
need to
this
be
is-
able to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the vocational science of freedom. And it's actually on Rumble. It's the VSOF, the vocational science of freedom. And this only got 1,000 followers.
Well, and that's the
I mean,
point.
that's almost depressing, right?
Well, it is, and it's kind of like what's going on in the crypto world. You would think there'd be a lot of people at least have a little bit of situational awareness, and I'm one of them. It's only since I've been around, a handful of people between Charlie Ellison, yourself, Nadine, Mike Boring. Just a handful of people that kind of got me opened up that door of what's coming in our environment, in our future.
What the thing that amazes me the most about crypto is they call it cryptocurrency, but it's really just a machine. It's a machine that does work.
It keeps track.
Well, there's so many different ones of them, so it's not necessarily just keeping track, but it's like they're machines, and so they do work. It's like a backhoe.
Big
So
old cash register.
Well, it comes over here and it scoops out and it scoops out. Well, this machine here, you load the scooper out and you dump in this one and it hauls it down the road. Well, this one over here, he spreads it out, and then this one here compacts it. So it's
And this one stores stuff.
all of this cryptocurrency is actually nothing more than mechanical.
Computers. I mean, it's all computers.
It's a mechanical action. It's doing work. It's not a money, right, so to speak. It's not like it's money that's just floating around in thin air. These are mechanical machines that accomplish work. And when I understood that, then I mean I had in my opinion, a lot greater
Clear understanding.
of what they are.
Well, I mean, we all
To
use
call them cryptocurrency to me kind of is.
downplaying it.
It is, because it's like, I don't know. It doesn't.
They're tools.
They're tools. They're machines. It's like a drill, but a lot of them are like way more complicated.
Oh, the complexity of XRP and the ledger and all the blockchain. I mean, all of those are different words that I've never used before.
So now they're stable coins. Stable coins are everybody is learning I would imagine that most people at this point here in the next 3 or 4 or 5 months are going to understand what a stable coin is. And I can guarantee you that stable coin has nothing to do with Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Because Bitcoin fluctuates. Oh, wow. Stable coin means that's the whole thing. It's a stable coin. It's USDC. It's tied to the dollar, right? So it's always worth $1.
Whatever the value is.
And so XRP is trying to buy Circle.
Right.
Circle owns USDC. So if they get that done, dude.
Well, hang on.
I mean, they're setting up the payment rails for the whole world.
Yeah.
As they need to, right? I mean, it's time.
So it's all talked about. We're going to have a cashless society. We're probably going to own nothing and like it. It's probably going to come into all of that.
There's a few
but
different,
meanwhile, back at the ranch,
there's a few different ways to go about that. Though.
Absolutely.
So if you have a decentralized,
it could combat that.
well, yeah, then it's not you'll own nothing and be happy. That's Klaus Schwab and all his goons, right?
Absolutely.
So decentralized, the epitome of the decentralized finance means that nobody controls it. So it's not that you'll own nothing and be happy, right? So the digital currency, the digital world, and you'll own nothing and be happy, that's what they want, but that's not what true DeFi, decentralized finance really is.
Absolutely. And there's a big stigma attached to it. And a lot of folks that was raised up with the Bible looks at it as the mark, and all of this is, and it's all prophesied, and we're going to go through all of this. I am unclear on any and all of it. My whole thing is
so here's what I'm going to say.
I'm going to keep a hay and a milk cow.
Here's what I'm going to say, right? And I respect Jimmy to all. I respect you, brother, in everything that you do.
Likewise, Stephen.
I honestly respect you and your conviction. But this is my example. Think of how much ground that you and I covered 2 weeks ago with ChatGPT trying to dig up what we were trying to dig up with the malfeasance in this
and
county.
it's taken me 4 or 5 years to compile.
And we come up with...
And it was bam.
We compiled a bunch
I mean, it was bam. Just a question.
A guy could never get it compiled because he don't have enough time and he don't have enough money.
In the rapidness that things change so fast, if you can't timely compile that stuff, and not only that, but also have another point of reference. Here we got YouTube and recordings and all the minutes established. and I can reference a lot of different stuff. But man, that thing goes right to it.
Well, and I call it out all the time. I'm like, you ain't answering my question, or you're full of shit. This is not what you told me last time. It says, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Da 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 da. And it's like, so you still got to be able to think for yourself. But for the longest time, folks, a good friend of mine, Jack Lane Clapp, bless his heart, he invented the 9-volt battery. And you can believe it or not, and I could care less, right? But I have a lot of evidence that leads me to believe that he wasn't pulling my leg on that. But him and I, we call this thing the communicator. And so I have always desired, it's like I've always had this thing in the back of my mind where I see my memory, the way that I operate is I don't remember stuff. I don't memorize stuff. I figure it out. And I figure it out again. And I figure it out a third time and a fourth time. And
But once you get it, it doesn't.
But
Now you're over here.
well, I know. And then 3 days later,
It's like, damn, I sure wish that.
yeah, we're done with that. And 3 days later, we're on something else.
We're over here.
Yeah, so we don't remember any of that shit.
All of mine. That's my entire
And then when
life.
we come back over here, it's like, oh,
Damn.
what the hell? Oh, well, let's figure it out, right? So
Yep.
we have to figure it out. So for me, I've always fantasized. I'm going to call it fantasize, right? Because when I think about a fantasy, these are the kind of stuff that I really wish that I had, right? It's like if I had 3 wishes, this would be one of them, right? I wish that I had like the computer on Star Trek where I could say, computer, blump, 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 blump. Like if I had an interface to remember all of the stuff that I've done and had an interface that could interact with me with what I'm doing in my current situation with all the experience that I had, I would be one of the most lethal people that have ever drawn a breath ever.
The
right?
the memory is important.
Ever, right? And that's where I know where I'm at, right? I can't remember that stuff. But I can sure enough figure out what I'm doing. And
Well, you're in the now.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out again.
Yeah.
But can I remember? I can't remember nothing.
No, I get flickers of brilliance and then it's gone. It's like, oh, there it goes.
But so, I mean, to me, it's a two-edged sword. Yeah, Elon Musk wants to chip your ass. But I've been dreaming about this sort of the same thing my whole life of how awesome would it be for me to be able to have all of the information and the experience that I've ever done or ever known at my fingertips for my next action. So I mean, it's the thing about it is like with AI, right? You can embrace it or you can be scared of it.
It's just like when the television was created, it was developed for education.
And it's just like
And then it went off
it's just like a chainsaw.
you can either cut someone's head off with it or you can use it for...
Is it scary? Yeah, it's scary. So you better know what the hell you're doing and you
damn
better
well
use
bet.
it right.
Yeah, here it again, it's another tool. And if it's properly administered and wholesomeness with the golden rule where you're treating people with the freedom and the liberty that we've created with, it's a wonderful thing. But as soon as you use it to control and oppress and take advantage of, then it's evil. And that's just me.
It's cut and torch.
Poof.
When I was cutting them 6-inch flanges down there in Oklahoma, right? I was one of the few guys that could run the torch good enough, because it's like that's not a new age thing, right? It's plasma cutters and all this. Nobody knows how to run these acetylene torches anymore. The BBs of molten metal as big as your fingertip, man, are flying up in this column, and I'm watching them fly up right in front of me, and I'm like, and they just talk about a shower of sparks, right? Man, I got one of them hit me on the back of the ear before I could get it. Son of a gun almost burned clear through to the front.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Oh, man. Yeah. That son of a bitch.
Can you hear me now?
See, a column of fire just blowing up in the air, right? So, but yeah, so AI, to me, AI is a great thing, right? And so it's all about, it's like anything. Like, how good is a gun? Like, oh my God, they're killing kids every day with guns. Well, guns don't kill people, people kill people, right?
Absolutely.
The gun doesn't fire on its own. So that's the
Absolutely.
same way with AI, right?
We state the obvious. A lot of people I talk to nowadays, we're constantly stating the obvious. You know what I mean? Things that you would think would go unsaid, that it would be common knowledge. We're stating it. We're
Well,
having to say it out loud. That is a very, very, very revealing observation.
well, and another good mentor of mine, he always said it's only a secret to those who don't know.
Absolutely.
And so that's why we're stating the obvious, folks, because if you don't know,
And you don't know.
well, and you know, it's not like it's a chink in your armor. If you don't know, you don't know, right?
No.
I mean, that's why
We share, and that's why we're talking about
that's
it.
why we have questions.
Absolutely.
If I didn't understand, if I knew everything, I wouldn't ask anything. Right?
Talking to the ambulance driver and the fire guys, I was like, "Do you guys know how addresses are generated? Because that's your job. Is you get an address to go to save someone's life. That's pretty damned important. Don't have a clue. Not one of them up here when I come up here. What are you talking about?
Well, you don't know that it starts from one end of the road and the numbers sequentially go up to the end of the road?
So when I turn off the highway, the addresses start getting bigger. Oh, damn. So I'm a 1.575 miles in from the highway. My address is 1575. People go, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "You didn't know that. You honestly telling me, as an ambulance driver and head of the fire department, you didn't know that?" "I never heard of that in my life." So here again, stating the obvious is mandatory, because the most essential and the most important thing that somebody might need to know, they've never been exposed to for whatever reason. And it's very grievous. It's very grievous that we are not teaching the most useful, common sense, day-to-day things that are in our life in that school.
Well, and we know what the problem is. We know that the problem is that it's social conditioning. It's Fabian socialism. The people that are in control of the universities and the schools are the ones that are basically the evil side of the coin.
They got in those positions to influence in a very dark way.
It's dumb us down, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. It's obvious. Like, if you can't see that, I mean,
So anyways, it's clear, it's crystal to most people now.
a bigger hammer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't-
Anyways.
I don't think a bigger hammer is going to do anything because you didn't hear us the first time, right? So it's like,
You know, and that scripture comes to my mind when you say that. It's like,
it's like the turtle in the shell that we were talking about earlier.
absolutely.
It's like, when I hit you hard enough, like, it's like you're just going to be mush.
Yeah.
You won't have a chance to respond because it took so much pressure.
Yeah, to try to reach you.
So
But yeah, they that got an ear can hear, and they that don't ain't going to hear it.
who's got an ear, let him hear.
Yeah.
So,
That's the way it is. So.
well, with all of that, you got any other thing?
No, planting some seeds, hoping for a good growing season. We don't have a lot of snowpack, and my prayer is that we get some good monsoons and that we get a lot of rain and helps the ranchers.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be what it'll be, but it's like June is the driest month of the year, and so by the time monsoons get here, everything will already be crisp. So,
Well, and we got to and just hope and pray that rainfall, maybe we'll get into them early rains.
try
We
to
get some early rains, and then
start doing your rain dance, folks,
amen, and then mid-season rains, and then latter rains.
because otherwise you're talking about fire dance.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get them fireworks off the ground.
Well, it is. And speaking of, we're still looking for donations, folks. The Mortarman on Facebook. course, you can catch our link on Red County Blue Nation. We're doing our best to. I mean, everybody has said that's the best fireworks show they've ever seen. Even people that were in New York and Washington D.C. and so three of us, Brian Clinch, Josh Martin, and myself, make all that happen. And we sure do need your cooperation and your participation. So please donate to the Mortarmen on Facebook, folks. So with that being said,
Buy local, share, support, love one another, and let's try to keep our county strong and healthy.
convince the younger generation that you can see and that you have an interaction with that.
And give them some good hope.
Yeah, and give them a kick in the pants, right?
Yeah, both, absolutely.
I mean, that's part of the big problem here is there's no discipline. So
Absolutely.
make them toe the line a little bit. It ain't going to hurt them. It'll just make them stronger in the end. And so with that being said, hope you all have a great evening.
Yep. Take care. Thank you, guys.
See you
like and share. Hey, Mikey Boren, thank you. IT man.
See you next week.